रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम् नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्तेः पौत्रम् अकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। अचतुर्वदनोर्ब्रह्मा द्विबाहुरपरो हरिः अफाललोचनः शम्भुः भगवान् बादरायणः पाराशर्यवचःसुधां सुमनसः दुग्धाब्धिमध्योद्धृतां संसाराग्निविदीपनव्यपगतप्राणात्मसञ्जीवनीं पूर्वाचार्यसुरक्षितां बहुमतिं व्याघातदूरस्थिताम् आनीतां तु निजाक्षरैः सुमनसः भौमाः पिबन्त्वन्वहम् निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवत रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिकाः भुवि भावुकाः। वन्दे वृन्दावनचरं वल्लवी जनवल्लभं जयन्ती सम्भवं धाम वैजयन्ती विभूषणम् वाचं निजाङ्करसिकां प्रसमीक्षमाणः वक्त्रारविन्दविनिवेशित पाञ्चजन्यः वर्णत्रिकोणरुचिरे वरपुण्डरीके बद्धासनो जयति वल्लभ चक्रवर्ती आम्नाय गन्धरुधितस्फुरितदरोष्ठम् आत्स्लाविलेक्षणमनुक्षतमन्दहासं गोपालडिम्बवपुषं कुहना जनन्याः प्राणस्य नन्दनमवैमि परं पुमांसम् आविर्भवत्यनिभृताभरणं पुरस्तात् आकुञ्चितैकचरणं निभृतान्यपादं दध्नानिमन्त मुखरेण निबद्धतालं नाथस्य नन्दभवने नवनीतनाट्यं हर्तुं कुम्भे विनिहितकरः स्वादुहय्यङ्गवीणं दृष्ट्वा दामग्रहणचटुला मातरं जातरोषां पायादीशत्प्रचलितपदो नापगच्छन्न तिष्ठन् मिथ्या गोपहासपदि नयने मीलयन् विश्वगोप्ता व्रजयोषितपाङ्गवेदनीयं मधुरा भाग्यम् अनन्यभोग्यमीडे वसुदेववधूस्तनन्दयं तत् किमपि ब्रह्म किशोरभावदृश्यम् अधराहितचारुवंशनाला मकुटालम्बिमयूरपिञ्छमाला हरिनीलशिला विभङ्गनीला प्रतिभासन्तु मम अन्तिमः प्रयाणे. With the abundant blessings of our Purvacharyas, it is my fortune to be rendering the Srimad Bhagavatha Saptaham, which is a combination of weekdays and the weekend. So all the Astikas and Bhagavatottamas have graced this series organized by Jnanananda Seva Samajam and Sacramento MahaPeriyavaa Mandali the last 4 days. Today is the 5th day. So this is the last day where we will be doing the lecture in the evening. Tomorrow and the day after. We shall be doing it in the first half of the day. It is a kramam, a paddhati to finish the fourth day with Krishnavataram. Nevertheless, I have some pending portions of the portion till the ninth skandam, Navama skandam. So I'm forced to complete that. Then I shall come back to the Dashama skandam. So while we used to undergo the traditional kalakshepam, have you heard of the word kalakshepam? And it is often prefixed with the word Hari Katha. Hari Katha Kalakshepam. Kshipanna, Kshipa. These are all dhatus, root words in Sanskritam, which means to throw. If you don't want something, you discard, you throw. This process of throwing is denoted by the root word kshipa. Kshepam is the process, that's the verb. What do you throw? What do you discard? Kalakshepam. You throw time. So kalakshepam in definition means wasting time. As per the etymology in Sanskritam, kalakshepam means wasting time. But why have they given that word for something as pious, as sacrosanct as Bhagavatam or Srimad Ramayanam is? When two words come together in Sanskritam, they necessarily don't mean the meanings of those individual words are coming together. Shuddha means pure. Atma means Atma. There is no exact English word for Atma, but we often, these days, we are forced to use the word soul. But soul is not the right word. Nevertheless, Atma is Atma. Kala, Shuddha is pure. Pure Atma, Shuddhatma, Shuddha Atma. When it comes together, we will believe it's pure soul. Correct? No. Shuddha plus Atma, Shuddhatma in Sanskritam means inner apartment. The Antahpuram, where Ranis used to live, is called Shuddhatma. Gramam is village. Simham is lion. Grama Simhaha means dog. Kshatriya. Kshatriya is the gunam of a valorous person. Kshatram is the valor of a very the valor is denoted by the word kshatram. That is why if you've got good power to fight, they will say, show your kshatram. But in the mundane language, it is used in a very different connotation. Don't show kshatram means vengeance, which is not the right word. Kshatram means valor. Kshatram, the one who has kshatram, that valor, that power to fight, is called kshatriya. So kshatriya is denoted by kshatra, 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 kshatriya. Bandhu means friend. Kshatra Bandhu should literally mean friend of kshatriyas. No, the enemy of kshatriyas was called Kshatra Bandhu. So, Kalakshepam, though when you bring the words, individual words together, it may mean wasting time. The resultant word means spending time usefully. Kalakshepam. So, during our Kalakshepam days, there was no restricted time. Like 2 hours you have to teach. The teacher was not forced to teach only for 1 hour, 2 hours. They'll keep going on. Like how yesterday I went. Today I will not do that, don't worry. So the teacher will keep going on, but he should know when to stop. And the student may not have the audacity to show the watch. See? Right? So the teacher has to stop somewhere. So Shastram says the teacher has to stop when the student yawns. That is the rule in Kalakshepam. Why? Because in Kalakshepa Paddhati, if the student yawns, the teacher should get an indication that he has to stop. Why? Because when you yawn in a Vedanta session, when you yawn, because body, you'll be tired, you may yawn. But Shastram says, again, whatever you have heard till then, you will start forgetting if you yawn. This is what? Don't yawn today. Now, Brahma, as he was reciting the Vedic injunctions and was in the process of creating, he yawned. As he yawned, the knowledge that was accrued in him was snatched by an asura called Hayagriva. Sir, come again. You said asura called Hayagriva. So, you have an asura called Hayagriva in our Purana, and you also have the Lord's avataram called Hayagriva. So, now don't doubt whether we have to keep that name for our children or not, because there is an asura's name, Hayagriva, what to do? See, name is given to a person. How that person behaves, it's up to that person. So, we cannot decide. So, Rama is such a good Shabdam. But just because you have certain Rams who may question Sanatana Dharma, he could be your Ram or Yen Ram. But you cannot desist yourself from keeping that name. Now, as Brahma yawned, it was stolen by Hayagriva. Kalena gata nidrasya dhatuhu Shishayor bali mukhato nisritan vedan Hayagrivoontike harat. Then Brahma started crying because he has lost the accrued knowledge. That is when he prostrated to the Lord, and the Lord said, this knowledge has taken the form of little children who do not know to swim, they are drowning. I shall take the form of a fish. Now, why should he take the form of a fish? For which in Lakshmi Sahasram, it's a beautiful kavyam of 1008 verses, composed by a kavi called Venkatadhwari Kavi of roughly the 16th century. He says the Lord has been witness to Mahalakshmi's beauty. He's been looking at her. She's so pretty. She has got eyes like that of a fish. So he thought, I am not blessed with such beautiful eyes like that of Mahalakshmi. When I don't have eyes as that of a fish, I shall become the fish. And he took the form of a fish. Nirmagna shruti jala margana dasha dattakshanayir vikshanayi antastanvadivara vindagahanan audanvati namapam nishpratyuha taranga ringanamithaf pratyudha pathaschatam dolaroha sadohalam bhagavato matsyam vapuh patunaha. The Lord came as fish. And he went into the deluge waters and protected those babies. If you remember the earlier Vishnu Sahasranamam publications, maybe elderly people here will know. In 1950s and 60s, when Vishnu Sahasranamam book was published, alongside a set of namas in Sri Vishnu Sahasranamam, there used to be this form of the Lord where he has got 4 babies in his hand. Those 4 are the Vedas. That is where there is one shloka where Venkatadhwari Kavi says, Sahi Shri Ramrita Satamiti Nanutvanna Madheya Shrayat Twaddasyam Bhajati Shruti Swayamiti Praptadara Sridharaha. There are many names for Vedas. Nigamam. Nigamam is the name of Veda. That is why we say to the tree which is Vedam. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam. Nigamam is Vedam. Nigamam, Vedam. These are all words for indicating the Veda. There is one unique word. You may want to remember this. Shri. Shri means Vedam. That is why in the way when we do the Panjabi, we say Sahi Shrir Amrita Satam. Shri means Vedam. So the poet is using the beautiful alliteration here. He says, Shri, who is Vedam, while that had to be rescued, the Lord took the form of a fish inspired from Shri. You're able to get the meaning? Sahi Shri Ramrita Satamiti Nanutvanna Madheya Shrayat Tvadasyam Bhajati Shruti Swayamiti Praptadara Sridharaha Tam Magnam Punaruddharan Jalanidhau Taparnavaduddharet. So the Lord rescued the Vedas. That is when Hayagriva got angry. And alongside, this was happening on one side, there was supposed to be a partial deluge at that point in time. This one small description in our Purana also has similarities with a few other Western religions, where they too speak about an epoch, a certain period when the world was filled with the waters of deluge, and then there was a certain boat. Specimens of the creation of the flora and the fauna were taken into the boat, led and attached to the horn of a fish. So I used to wonder, do fishes have horns? Do fishes have horns? No. But there is one fish variety. Check the species and genus. It's called longhorn fish. There's a species, I've forgotten the binomial nomenclature to it. There is a fish. So this boat was taken by that fish, and in that boat went one king of Madurai. That is our greatness. So I am incidentally wearing something close to the jasmine. So Madurai is famous for a few things. One is the idli shop. Second, it is famous for a divine rasayanam equivalent to the Devas Amritam. What is that? Jigar Danda. It is also famous for two people. One is Madurai Meenakshi, and the other is Sundara Raja of Vrishabhadri. Vrishabhadri is Alagar Kovil. So Meenakshi, those of them who are Sri Vidya Upasakas will know in Sri Yantram, there is one lady who protects Lalita's inner apartment. She is green hued, dark and green hued. It's a combination of black and green. So such people were believed to be the descendants of a Vamsham called Matanga. So that lady is referred to as Matangi. So she has the green hue. So she is called Mechakangi. Meenakshi me mudam dehi me chakangi rajama tangi. So in Madurai there was a king called as Satyavrata. So he took the waters while he went to the banks of a river called Kritamala. Kritamala currently is called Vaigai. So he went and took the waters and found one tiny fish. He said, why should I kill this fish? So he put that into his Kamandalam. By the time he completed Sandhya Vandanam, the fish had grown. Then he said, this fish may not have free movement, and kept that into another big patram, another vessel. It grew further there. Then he finally brought that back to the river. And that fish is said to have told him in an ethereal voice that in a few days from now there will be a deluge, the boat will be ready. It gave all that coordinates. This place the boat will be parked, you can come, there will be full deluge. Madurai will undergo a lot of destruction. So will the close by areas. We also concur this with Sangam text. Sangam talks about Madurai having undergone floods. Madurai was earlier referred to by another name, Uragasya Purim, the city that was protected by the snakes. So in Tamil, that equivalent word to Uragapuri is Alavai. So it was called Alavai, And this Uragasyapuri Madurai were ruled by a group of kings, one after the other, referred commonly by the name Pandya. The beauty is Kalidasa, who was born in Madhya Pradesh roughly 1900 years before, in the 2nd century AD, in his work called as Raghuvamsham, while describing the Swayamvaram of the lady called Indumati, refers to this king. So Indumati was asked to choose the king who were listed there. Many kings were there. So that time her friend Sunanda comes and explains the antecedents of each of these kings. She tells what all each king stands for. That time she tells, this Raja is of Pandyadesham Uraganagare. He's from the city of the snakes. Then she finally doesn't accept him. That is a different point. So she chooses Aja. Aja is the father of Dasharatha. So Dasharatha's mother is Indumati. Now, where was I? In this fish. Now, the Satyavrata Raja sits into the boat along with the Saptarishis and the specimens of the flora and fauna, and he's taken. During the journey of the deluge, where this boat alone navigates, Matsya gives Upadesham to Satyavrata. We believe that knowledge has to be carried on orally. Largely, we are an oral tradition. That is why we speak of Shruti and Smriti. Listen and remember. Shruti, listen and remember. We do neither today. We neither listen nor do we remember. So, this Upadesham was given, and then finally the Lord was able to vanquish Hayagriva and give back Vedas to Brahma. So, this is Matsyavataram in short. Now, there is another Charitram which is left. Two more. One is Ambarisha Charitram. Tatra thaparanadine bhavadarchanante durvasasasya munina bhavanam prapede bhoktum vritascha nripena pararti shilaha. Look at Bhattadri. He says Durvasa came. What was Durvasa's name? He says para arti shilaha. Arti means what? Trouble. Arti in Sanskrit means trouble. Para arti shilaha. Oh, no, sir, you are saying trouble. We do this to Bhagavan. That is harati. Ha, you have to put the aksharam ha. If you go in the north, they will say Ganga ji ki arti. Already she is troubled. We should be trouble her more. It is ha. Harati is this mudra. Arti means problem, distress. So, para arti shilaha. So, Durvasa's name given by Bhattadri is, he gives him one title, Mr. Pararti Shilaha. Para Arti Shilaha, the one who is happy giving trouble to others. Para Arti Shilaha, this was his pastime. So a sadist is referred to as Pararti Shilaha. Pararti Shilaha Mandam Jagama Yamunam Niyatam Idhasyan. There was a king called Ambarisha. He used to observe a vratam called Ekadashi. It's called Harivasaram. Harivasaram is called Ekadashi. It is said in all our Shastras that on the day of Ekadashi, we should not consume anything. Now we cannot, if in case Ekadashi falls on Wednesday, we cannot fast on the closest weekend. That is a problem. For festival we can do, for fasting we can't. Now, sir, there is one new thing, intermittent fasting. Have you heard of that intermittent fasting? You eat very well now. 14 hours later, you can have. Till then, you can keep having water. All that is fine. But now, see, I will give you an easier way of Ayurveda Shastram says, the easiest of intermittent fasting is have only one meal a day. Try that. So, Ekadashi, you should not have anything. In fact, your vratam should begin on the previous night. So, from 6 p.m. on the Dashami till about 7 a.m., 6 to 7 a.m. on the Tithi of Dwadashi, roughly for 36 to 37 hours, you should not even drink your own saliva. You should not do that. One drop should not go. Sir, I am having metformin every morning. Glibenclamide, combination and glimepiride combination. Some of them may be given pioglitazone also. Right. So what to do with these things, sir? The endocrinologist says you should not take it on empty stomach. So our rishis knew about our diabetes problem, and they said you can have little fruits. Next level they came, fruits. It has fructose, so you can manage. But fruit gets digested very quickly. Then you will want to have more. You'll have craving for more fruits. So then they said you can go to the next level of a word called TIFFIN. Tiffin. In that tiffin, you should avoid rice. When I told this in Delhi, in Vasant Kunj, I was giving Saptaham. All the people who were speaking Hindi, they said, we are observing Ekadashi every day. Nitya Ekadashi. You said you should avoid rice. So this is Ekadashi to us. So then after that, next day morning, you should do Parana. But let us see what Ambarisha did. He did proper Ekadashi. So in a month, there are 2 Ekadashis. Roughly in 12 months, you have 24 Ekadashis. So for 1 year, Tatra Thaparanadine, on the Tithi of Dvadashi, in the morning 6:37, you should have food. That is another torture. Morning 6:30, they will serve you full lunch. That lunch is called Parana. So this king who observed the Ekadashi Vratam religiously with his wife for a year, on the day of Parana, on the day of Dvadashi, he was to observe Parana. Everything was ready. Gooseberry pachadi. You know gooseberry pachadi? Then Agastya Shakha. Agastya Shakha is agatti. It's a very important type of greens which has been mentioned that Vedanta Deshika in the 13th century loved it. Agastya Shakha Priyayai Namaha. It is said that Agastya Shakha will do good to your stomach. See, when something does good to our stomach, your memory is very good. So all our rishis, they all used to come up with formula that will help in the sustenance of buddhi. How many of you are engineers? How many of you studied engineering? My deepest condolences. So engineering is one of the most beautiful creations of Brahma. I'll tell you why. Because the first semester I'm talking about my engineering. You may have some differences here. We used to have maths 1, physics 1, chemistry 1. Then second semester we'll have physics 2, maths 2. Now the beauty is, after you give your exams of first semester, there is no compelling on you that you have to remember all that for the second semester. That is why after my engineering, I didn't know even how to fix a fuse in my house. My grandmother thought a engineer fuse fix one. That I don't know. I know only Bernoulli's equation. That's all. Whatever is not relevant to the house, I will know. That is the effect of my engineering. Now, whereas in Vedadhyanam, you should understand, there is no semester pattern. If you are taught the Samhita, Aranyakam, Upanishad of Yajurvedam, which will roughly take, in a normal pace itself, 8 years to do, and then if you do Ghanam after that to become a Salakshana Ghanapati, it will take 8-9 years. You have to remember all that was taught without having a single book in front of you. So it requires immense training on you, self-training, and the food habits. That is why all our rishis have done various trial and error methods and have said, if you are doing Vedadhyayanam, follow this strict, rigid food pattern. You all will know, Brahmanas at one point in time in our Puranas were consumers of non-vegetarian food. Vasishta had one great dish made out of a rabbit's flesh. Puruchakutu or something he had. So all our rishis have had. Because every time I go to a debate channel, somebody will say, see, Brahmanas had. Yes, Brahmanas had. Then Agastya Maharishi came and said, for your profession, you don't require this much of food. So bring it down, and he started suggesting only veggies. Then later our acharyas came and said, in those veggies you have to avoid 21 vegetables. Because if you eat those vegetables, over a period of time, your memory power will come down. It is not that our acharyas say it is bad for your health. It is very good for your health. It will have the best of nutrients. But for your memory, it may not do good justice. So they have said avoid onion, garlic, drumstick, radish, turnip, bottle gourd, ridge gourd, mushroom, carrot, beetroot, cabbage, cauliflower, tomato, potato. What is left? Because the lady has asked, I have to answer from her. Lady's finger. Lady's finger is left. Then you can have most of the greens, because this will help. This is what our acharya say. Now again, see, Sanatana Dharma will always come up with recommendations. If you don't follow, no rishi will give you a death sentence, cutting your head, nothing. Up to each his or her own. Now you may ask, are you avoiding? No, I can't avoid all the 21 vegetables. Then I will be excommunicated from my house. So I don't have 8 vegetables. That itself is a task. But I'm just telling you how the pattern is. So do not get confused. Reader's Digest will say garlic is good for your health. Correct. Full 100% correct. But for the memory, it won't serve right. If you believe that memory is not that important, it is okay. Why I'm telling you is, nowadays we have books. Remember, today we have books. If the same Dushyanth, 31 minutes. The same Dushyanth was giving a lecture in 1960. I would have been made a pariah. I'll tell you why. Because during the times of the great stalwart Anantarama Dikshitar and many such acharyas, you should not have a book. Likhita Pathakaha. You should know all the 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam by heart. You should he will have 4 or 5 sishyas around him. That was the pattern of Dikshitar Vad. He used to say, Draunyasya very gigantic personality he was. Draunyasya viplushtamidam madangam santana bijam kuru pandavanam. Appo, Vairappan, Shunaram, Ade, Bhattadril, Gotutu. He'll just go on. Next verse, he'll know. The 10th skandam, first shloka, he'll know. 7th shloka, he'll know. They don't need books. Today, if you switch off my light, that's all. Gone. So why? See, remember, again you see, their food pattern, what they had. See, input is very important, right? Now you may say, no sir, I know some of my friends from Scotland and Russia who are having non-vegetarian food and they have a good memory. Well and good for them. Again, before I go to the next point, food and food habits and restriction is one of the factors to memory. Remember that. If a product is formed in a chemical reaction, it is not only the reactant's purity which leads to the product. It could be the heat, pressure and other conditions. So if there are 5 factors leading to good memory, one factor is food. So our acharyas say this is the only factor which is in your hand, which you can control. If they say about Purva Janma Punyam, that is not in our hand. Correct. So what is not in your hand, you cannot worry much. But what is in your hand, you have to worry. So if a child studies well and fetches good marks, another child would argue, I too studied well, I didn't fetch marks. But that doesn't mean you should not study well, because anyways you are not going to get good marks. You're able to get the tarkam here. So Ambarisha, he observed this parana. Incidentally, on one particular Ekadashi, after that Ekadashi, morning of Dvadashi, Durvasa came and he said, see, I have come. And whenever it is Dvadashi, it is always good. I'm talking traditionally, to have some guest come over and you have to serve them food on Dvadashi. If that person, don't force them. If they are interested and if they like your house food, you can call them. So on the day of Dvadashi, you call some guest and serve them food. So Durvasa came, And Ambarisha was extremely happy. He was elated that a great Maharishi has come. Durvasa said, I will go to the banks of a river and come. I'll take bath and come. He is used to taking long hours of bath. Now, before 8 a.m. roughly, you have to finish your parana. It was 7:55. This Durvasa Maharishi hadn't come. So Ambarisha thought, let me not have food. Let me break my fast. What do? I will take little Tulasi Jalam and drink, and I will wait for that Rishi to come. While he was drinking Tulasi Jalam, imagine you are the movie director, screenplay. He is having, in the background, Durvasa has just come. Between this hand gap and mouth, Durvasa has come. Parartishilaha mandam jagama yamunam niyatam adhasyan. As usual, Durvasa came and said, you have insulted me. Ambarisha said, sir, I'm waiting for you. Everything is ready. Kadi is ready. More korambu. Majjige huli anta heltivi alve Kannadalli. All that is ready. Everything is ready. I'm waiting for you, Durvas ji. Don't get angry. Durvasa got angry and he created one kritya. Kritya in those days comes from a yagam called Vyabhicharam. So it was like occult. And this kritya was supposed to hurt Ambarisha. But before it could reach Ambarisha, it is said that the chakram of the Lord, the willpower of the Lord had arrived. And it started chasing Durvasa Maharishi. And Durvasa Maharishi went to Karya Vaikuntham 2.0. I spoke about that yesterday. He went to Vaikuntham and he said, oh Lord, your chakram is coming behind me. In Tamil there is a word, adiyal. Cutting Sagar is coming behind me. That is when the Lord said, see, you have mistaken, Durvasa, that if I tell something, my devotees will listen. I'll tell you what is the truth. This is a secret that I'm revealing to you, Durvasa. I am subservient to my devotees. Aham bhakta paradhinaha. So, there is a temple in Sri Kanchipuram, where the Pallava king was quite upset with a person called Bhakti Sara and his student called Kani Kannan. So he said, Kani Kannan, get out of the city. Kani Kannan went to his Acharya Bhakti Sara and said, sir, the king has excommunicated me, I'm leaving. The teacher said, when my student is not there, what is the role of a teacher? Even I will come along with you. As Bhakti Sara was leaving the city, the Lord who was reclining on the serpent couch as a bridge to the river called Vegavati, his name was Vega Setu. This Vega Setu said, see, Bhakti Sara, if you leave me, what will I do? If there is no student, there is no teacher, you are leaving. If there is no devotee, what will the Lord do? I will also come along. That is when the devotee said, to have said, Nee undan paina happayai shuruttikkol. See, you have got a mat which is interestingly the serpent couch. Roll it. Do you know hold on? Have you heard of hold on? So you hold on and come. Then the Lord went. The next day the Raja said, see, without you and the Lord, the city cannot survive. Come back. Bhakti Sara came back. Then the Lord was confused. What should I do now? Nee undan paina happaye virittukol. Now you sleep back. So the Lord listened to what his devotee said. That is why in Tamil there is a name to the Lord. Sonna vannam Seida Perumal Yatha Uktakari Yathoktakari. So he said, Aham Bhakta Paradhinaha Hyastvantratraiva Dvija Sadhu Birgrasta Hridayo Bhaktai Bhakta Janapriyaha. That is when finally Durvasa comes to Ambarisha and says, please forgive me, Ambarisha. Then Ambarisha said, see, this Sudarshana is a very ferocious man. I will do stuti to him. Let us see if he subsides. His anger comes down. Sudarshana namastubhyam sahasrarachyuta priyaha sarvastraghatin vipraya swasti bhuya idaspate. And Sudarshana said, don't worry, I will take care. And he went away. This is Ambarisha Charitram. What is the message of Ambarisha Charitram? You can still manage to have a tussle with the Lord. You can still manage to hurt him. The Lord will accept. But he's completely against when a Lord's devotee is hurt. So in Sanatana Dharma, Bhagavata Apacharam should be avoided, but that is still okay. Bhagavata Apacharam is very bad. That is why you should not get into unnecessary arguments with devotees. If you feel that this argument is not going in a healthy way, you should keep quiet and leave that place. Silence is platinum, not even gold. Now, there is another charitram before I go back to Krishna charitram. The last of the Navama Skandam. It comes actually in the Dwadasha Skandam. Now, I have done some rearrangement and I have put this back today. Markandeya Maharishi. There was a great rishi called Markandeya. He came in the Vamsham of a rishi called Mrikandu. So he was called Markandeya. So Markandeya was in and around the region, a place very close to the Bay of Bengal called Tirukadayur. His father and him, they were great devotees of Lord Shiva. Mahadeva knew that this Markandeya, though he was extremely intelligent, devoted, he had a very short lifespan of only 16 years. So, the day Markandeya knew that he was completing 16, he knew that the prophecy set based on him would fructify, which means he would die. So, he went and is said to have, as per the Sthala Puranam, embraced Amrita Ghateshwara, Lord Shiva. That is when Yamadeva comes. Yama comes on a buffalo. He had one noose. So he threw around Markandeya, and in the due process, it went around the lingam. And while he tried to pull using force, it is said that Lord Shiva came as Kalasamhara Murti and said, "How dare you even have the audacity to touch my devotee? You said that he will die at the age of 16. Let him continue remaining 16 till his lifetime. So only if he completes 16, you will kill him. Let him be 16 throughout." So he started singing Sindura Pove. So, as Markandeya was 16 years of age, we may think, sir, living eternally is a good boon. No. You will get bored. Same age, same place. People will come and go. Men may come and go, and I go on forever like Aung San Suu Kyi. You have to keep seeing people. So, Markandeya now thought, after having done proper research of the Shastram, he knew that there is something called moksha, where you will be bereft of your material body. You don't have to eat, digest. After eating, you get sleep. That is the whole process, right? You eat, you sleep. Then you wake up again, you feel hungry. This is the cyclic process, a vicious circle it is. So he thought, the only way to leave this material body is to seek moksha. Then he went back to Lord Shiva and asked, "Please give me moksha." Lord Shiva said, "See, this is a different department. It doesn't come under my purview. Ishvaraha jnanaman vichet, moksham ichet janardanat." Knowledge I will give. I am Dakshinamurti, I will give you knowledge. Moksham falls under another department as per clause 32b. It will come under that first amendment. It will come based to Janardana. Go to Janardana. So Markandeya came to a kshetram. You all know the Sthala Puranam of that kshetram. He was able to see a beautiful girl who had the resplendence of Sri Devi and Bhumi Devi. Bhu and Mahalakshmi Ma. So she was called Bhuma. This Bhuma grew up to the age of 4 or 5. That is when an old man appeared at the entrance of their house and asked Markandeya, "Do you have a girl in your house of marriageable age?" Markandeya said, "She is very young. Are you looking for your grandson?" This old man said, "No, for me." But surprised. But he was worried to say no because rishis will give curses, pronounce curses. So he called his daughter and said, "Bhuma, you check if this tata is good." He was expecting Bhuma to say, "I don't like this tata." But Bhuma said, "So handsome he is, very young, he is wearing bell-bottoms pant." Yeah. So immediately Markandeya said, "Sir, if you want to marry her, there is a problem. She does not know in what proportion salt should be added to food." This old man said, "See, my doctor has advised me to go saltless." So I will not take up Avakaya mana andaridi gongura chattini manadene. I will neither take gongura nor avaka. So then it was understood that the Lord had come to marry Bhuma, and it is called a kshetram. It is denoted by the Sthala Puranam, Uppu illa appan, the one who has no match, Uppu illa appan, Lavana Varjita Swami. So then Markandeya, after having given in marriage, then he sought moksham in a kshetram called Sara kshetram called Tirucherai. Then he went to Uttarakhand. From Tamil Nadu, he went to Uttarakhand. In Uttarakhand, he sat outside the hermitage, which was stationed at the foothills of Nara and Narayana Parvatam. Though as he was seated there, he sought moksham, and the Lord said, when the Atma is departing from this material body, I will give you moksham. But till then he wanted to explore Bhagavat Srishti. So he said, sir, I have studied in Puranas that the deluge, Pralayam, is very interesting. I want to see how Pralayam looks. At least if you play a video for me, it is enough. The Lord said, why should I play the video? I'll show you one rehearsal. Close your eyes. Markandeya closed his eyes, and he heard an ethereal voice which said, open. He opened. He saw that the rocks that were covering the hill and the hillocks in front of him, they were coming together, colliding, they were bursting into pieces. The water levels had risen in the river Alakananda, the trees were uprooted, they were falling into the flowing torrential waters. There was only pralayam around him. In a few minutes, everything was in pralayam. Now, the beauty is, Markandeya alone was surviving. Imagine that state. No, nothing around you. Onnum tevum ulagum mattum yadumilla vannu says Nammalvar. Nothing. So he started swimming. Who is that person? Phelps. Unga urla yaravar? Phelps. Like Markandeya was Phelps' ancestor. So he started swimming. He's like Vedant Madhavan. He started swimming. And after swimming, he saw nothing around him. Everything was floating. The recently given refrigerator, TV, fan in the election, all that was floating. So as he swam through the waters, at a distance he was seeing some movement. He went closer. It was a beautiful leaf, Vatapatram. And on that was moving a little blue mustard. As small as a mustard, blue in color. When he went closer, he saw that the mustard had one head, 2 feet. Oh, it was a child. He was worried. Whose child is this? Who has abandoned their precious child here? But what could he ask? The child was a child. He wouldn't even know to answer. But still, he had to ask, who are you? This boy took the toe and started sucking it. Narayana Tirtha in Krishna Leela Tarangini asks one question. Why did the Lord have to chew and suck his own toe? Isn't this less hygienic? For which Narayana Tirtha answers, it seems every devotee who propitiates the Lord says, oh, your foot is like Shondesh. It is like Roshamoloi. It is like Gudeyod Roshagullo. It is like Chonna Pois. It is like Putarekulu. It is like Bandar Laddu. It is like Kakinada Kaja. It is like Adirasam. It is like Ambalapura Payasam. It is like Mysore Pak. It is like Puran Poli. It is like Peda. It is like Peta. It is... So all these things the devotees used to tell looking at the Lord. So the Lord was doubtful. Is my foot that sweet? And he sucked his foot, says Narayana Tirtha. So Markandeya was still unable to spot who this boy was. That is when Vanaparva of Sri Mahabharatam tells, through Markandeya Upakhyanam, the Lord showcased Mahalakshmi in his chest. That is when Markandeya knew, oh, this is Mr. Vishnu. And by the time he could even decipher what the child was actually trying to showcase to him, like a vacuum cleaner, the Lord sucked Markandeya into his mouth. You have to now do some little bit of 3D imaging. Now Markandeya is now going like a roller coaster through the esophagus of the child. Now he has to go fall into the stomach region. Bile is coming from liver. Then little insulin is coming from the islets of Langerhans and the pancreas. There is a gallbladder without stones. Then there are a few intestines below. There is a diaphragm, and on the other side there is a rib cage, and within which are the lungs. So Markandeya should have technically seen this, but he didn't see that. He saw Naranarayana Parvatam, he saw Alakananda river, he saw Markandeya sitting and meditating. He was confused. I am looking at me, the me in the me. Huh? The me in the me, but he did not buy an island. So, மண்ணும் மலையும் கடலும் உலகேழும் முன்னும் திறந்து மகிழ்ந்து உண்ணும் பிள்ளைக்கு வண்ணம் எழில் கொள் மகர குழை வை திண்ணம் இருந்தவா காணீரே. That is when Markandeya understood. ஸ்ரீவ சுதேவ அண்ட கோட்ல குக்ஷி உண்டி புரோவ பரம்மா. So in his kukshi he was confused. That is when Markandeya understood one thing. I wanted to understand how the creation and the dissolution process works. Now I have realized that understanding Bhagavat Srishti is beyond my realm of knowledge. You know, our understanding of Shastras will be very little, but we will all ask all high-end questions. How did the Lord create? How does it matter to us? Are we going to create now? No. Big questions we'll ask. I'm not saying questioning is wrong. For that we have to undergo little training. We won't read Ramayana in detail. We will read Wikipedia page on Ramayana. We'll read Quora.com. We'll immediately ask, how did Valmiki do this? See, every time we question, I'm not saying questioning is wrong, the intent. Every time we question in a way, we actually have an inner feeling that we are slightly better off and intelligent than Valmiki and Vyasa. They were primitive mortals who just happened to write. We were given the task, we could have done a better job. This is our understanding. Sir, they'll come after Ramayana. Sir, I just have one thing to tell to Valmiki. I'll say, where is Valmiki? I have just one thing to tell to Valmiki. Why doesn't he talk much about Lakshmana's wife Urmila? And if he has not spoken, well, see, now they'll say, see, Lakshmana left Urmila for 14 years in Ayodhya and went. How Urmila would have felt? She would have felt very happy. In the Ashad Orange, generally people will ask me, sir, how does your family find it when you are not at home? They are in cloud 9. If there is a cloud above that, if I go back home, so we overtly imagine. We will put ourselves, sir, you put yourself into Urmila's shoes. Why should I put? She is happy. That is where we go wrong. What is given in Ramayana, we will never research. What is beyond that? That is, we have come up with a question which nobody would have thought in the last 5,000 years. All our acharyas are dull-headed souls. Now, Bhagavat Srishti beyond the point cannot be understood. That is the essence. The more you study, that is why Upanishad says one statement. Who is the one who has understood Bhagavan, Paramatma and his Srishti and Sthiti well? It asks. Upanishad says, the one who says, I do not know, is the person who has understood. Avijñāto vijānatam. Who says, I don't know. He has understood well. The one who says, no, I have studied all these, is not understood. The person who says, I have read, is never understood. Because there is always a difference. See, at times, just because we speak Bharatiya languages, we cannot underestimate the other languages. English comes up with a beautiful word, realization. It's a very beautiful word in my understanding. I have studied the Ramayana and I know Ramayana is different from, I have realized what is in Ramayana. We all may know, okay, I would have completed at least 150 or 200 Bhagavata Saptahams. I don't even have a count. But every time I do a Bhagavatam, there is something which I feel, oh, this one, how did I miss the previous time? That is how our Shastras are. That is why Bhagavad Pada says, Kararavindena padaravindam mukharavinde viniveshayantam vatasya patrasya puteshayanam balam mukundam manasa smarami balam mukundam manasa smarami Vande Vrindavanacharam Vallavi Janavallabham. Now, from now on, it is Krishna. So, as the Devas, under the leadership of Brahma, went to Kshirabdi and prostrated to the Lord, Narayana Tirtha tells, Atha Bhagavan Aparimita Satchidananda Rupa Satya Paripurnaha Paramatma Anadya Nirvachaniya Chintya Shaktir Maya Vilasita Loka Jugukjikshaya Parigrihita Divya Mangala Murtihi Shriman Narayana Kshirabdhau Sesha Paryankeshayane Mahan Asau Sada Aste Tamena Masura Bhara Bharakranta Gorupadharini Dharani Surapati Mukha Sura Pariveshtita Sati Ananya Sharana Sharanam Jagama. That is when Bhuma Devi goes in the form of a cow and expresses her anguish. Sharanam Bhava Karuna Mayi Kurudina Dayalo Adhuna Khalu Vidhina Mayi Sudhiya Suramamrutam Madhusudana Madhusudana, says Tirtha in Tarangam. Now, that is when the Lord, there is one verse which says the Lord, after listening to their worries, Evam samstuyamanastu Bhagavan Parameshwara, he said, don't worry, I will remove your worry. Ujjaharatmana Keshau Sita Krishnau Mahamune. He threw 2 strands of hair, says Bhagavatam and Vishnu Purana. One was white, one was black. Sita Krishnau. You have understood? Now the commentator asks, will the Lord have white hair? No, sir, he has become very old. Purana Purusha. He is not. In India, we have great companies which make them young again. They are called Godrej and L'Oreal. If you apply, you will become like Markandeya. So he says white and black strand of hair. Will the Lord have white hair? Pertinent question. Here the commentator Vishnu Chitta says, Keshau iti. What does Kesha mean? Kesha means hair as well as a ray of light, which says that white and the dark, white comes only when it removes the dark. And that white light is what we generally use to describe the diffraction process and then keep a prism and then say how the light is diffracted. The white light enters, we say. So the Lord who is responsible for the darkness and the light. The Western world generally says, the Lord says, let there be light. Then who is there when light is not there? He is the one who is there when the light is also not there. So those, essentially meaning the Lord's attributes is what? That gave birth to Krishna and Balarama. Here we have Vasudeva, who was within the jail premises, and Krishna had to be born. That is when Krishna is said to have commanded Durga, Parvati. Her name is Parvati, Gauri. He said, you go and push yourself into the womb of Yashoda. Yashoda was pregnant after a very long time. Her gynecologist has said, it is a girl baby. And she had bought all the clothes in pink. She had bought all the jewelry that a girl child would wear. And she had kept it ready. She had delivered the child on the Navami Tithi. Krishna was already born. After Krishna was born, in a few minutes, the Ashtami Tithi got over and the Navami Tithi had risen, and that is why she was born. So since she was born in the Navami Tithi, Pravrishtakale Janabhasi Krishnashtamyamaham Nishi Utpatasyami Navamyam tu Prasutim Tvamavapsyasi. She is regarded as the sister to the Lord. They were not from the same mother. She is regarded as a sister because traditionally, in the emotional understanding of a family, a sister, whether she is elder or younger, protects the brother. It is not the vice versa. Brother won't protect. Sister protects the brother. Protection in those days for a Kshatriya used to come in the form of a fortress. A fortress that protects the family and the inhabitants of the city was called by a name Durga. Durga means fort. Since the sister protected her brother like a fortress does, she is called Durga. Navadurgam Mahakalim Brahma Vishnu Shivatmikam. We say Navadurga. What does Nava mean? 9. The other meaning? New. Very good. Nava means new. Since she is a contemporary new fortress to the Lord, she is called Navadurga. Now this Durga was born. On the other side, Krishna had to be taken. Now how was Krishna born? That is when we have this beautiful shlokam. Tamadbhutam balakam ambujekshanam chaturbhujam shankhagadar yudharyudam Srivatsalakshmam galashobhikaustubam pitambaram sandrapayodi saubhagam maharha vaidurya kirita kundala tvisha parishvakta sahastra kuntalam Uddhama Kanchi Gadakankanadibhir Virochamanam Vasudeva Maikshata. Vasudeva was seeing a child in front of him. When a child is born, what will it do? Cry. This doesn't cry. How will he spot? Outside it is dark because of the torrential rainfalls where the dark rain-bearing clouds were even possibly covering the nectarine rays of the moon from falling on the earth. Pouring it was, with no outlets or inlets of light to come inside the prison where they were languishing. There was no chance of light. So the boy was born, no crying, it is dark. The father was worried if the child is born or not, first of all. Then he cut the umbilical cord and he was a bit worried because by the time he would leave the child to go fetch some water to clean the child, he was quite confused whether he would step on the child. So he said, "Oh my dear child, where are you?" Dveja Chandra Chandrika Maikshata. With the whiteness from the 32 teeth of the child, he was able to spot the child. Sir, what is this? Medically, it is irrelevant. Will a newborn child have 32 teeth? That is why he said, Tam Adbhutam Balakam. He's a unique child. If you're unique and extraordinary, you should have something extra, more than ordinary. So he had 32 teeth. Tam Adbhutam Balakam. Adbhutam Balakam. Why is he called Balakam? Alparthe kaf pratyayaha, says Panini. You use the suffix ka in Sanskritam or ka to denote an object which is essentially smaller than what you had conceived it to be. If the girl is Kanya, she is smaller than what you have thought, she becomes Kanyaka. If it is a boy, Balam, smaller than what you have perceived him to be, he becomes Balakam. Tamadbhutam Balakam, very small, only this much. Balakam, in that there was a face, small, thin neck, broad chest, thin hip, 2 thighs. On that was yellow silk. He was born with all the jewelry. Pitambaram, thin silk. And on that yellow color silk, it was covering his thighs. Sandhra Payodi Saubhagam. His color was as if when the rain-bearing clouds comes quite low, when they are heavy with water and they turn dark to just precipitate, that color of the clouds was him. Sandhra Payoda Saubhagam. And in those little hands, he had 4, Chaturbhujam, 4 hands. He's trying to tell, I am the one who grants all the 4 Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksham. See, Symbolically, I have four. Four hands. In those two hands behind, there was a small chakram and small shankam. Tiny shankam. Small lotus, small gada. Half of a matchstick was his gada. Sandhrapayodi saubhagam tamadbhutam balakam. Why is he called balaka? There is another interpretation to it. Kaha in Sanskritam means Brahma. Ka and two dots. Kaha means Brahma. Balaha kaha yasyasa balakaha. The one who has given rise to Brahma while he was born is called Balakaha. Because while the Lord was born to Devaki, Devaki checked the newborn baby's navel. From the navel was a little lotus, and seated on that lotus like a small bumblebee was Brahma with four heads. So the only lady who is said to have become a grandmother while she became a mother is Devaki. She became a mother to Krishna. She became a grandmother to Brahma. Tamadbhutam balakam ambujaikshanam. Ambujaikshanam. He has got eyes like that of a lotus. Why, sir, this lotus takes, why is it? Well, I came in the freeway, I saw those yellow flowers along the slope of the mountain. So beautiful. Why can't you compare to various yellow flower? Dancing with the daffodils. Why can't you compare it to the daffodils and the tulips of Amsterdam? Because all these flowers grow in clean areas. There is only one flower that grows from the marshes, from a very dirty water, that is called pankajam. So to indicate that even if I am born amidst the primitive mortals, the dosham in you will not stick to me. Apahatapapma, he comes as a lotus. How is this possible? Now we may wonder. Shastram tells that whatever impurities we have on our body will generally not touch the Atma. You must have heard of this in Vedanta lectures. Atma cannot be crushed. It cannot be made into horcruxes. You cannot cut the Atma to make 7 horcruxes, keep one in the snake and one in the raven diadem, one in... You can't do all of that. Atma cannot be destroyed. So in a way, Rowling has heard half of the Vedanta lectures, the other half she has not. So Atma cannot be destroyed. Atma doesn't have any of these elements of impurity smearing it. How is that possible, sir? When it is inside the body, something has to happen. For which our acharyas give one example. Did I talk about Tirunelveli halwa? Oh, so let's forget that halwa for a minute. Some other halwa. Now we'll talk about another halwa that doesn't give us any sadness. It is called Ashoka halwa. Have you heard of Ashoka halwa? You have had Ashoka halwa? After the lecture, I'll tell you the recipe. Now, this Ashoka halwa is also very tasty. It will be dripping in. See, you should not worry about your health and also whatever is there. You should add lot of ghee. When I hold Ashoka halwa, the ghee should just flow down my forearms, and you should be able to accumulate ghee in a cup. And you should make another batch of Ashoka halwa from that. It should be shining. Sandrapayodi saubhagam. It should be that Ashoka halwa. Now, because there is sugar content in it and there is greasy nature in it, it may just be a bit sticky. Any sweet will have that stickiness. So imagine the child is given halwa, it will pour on its feet, shirt, mouth, everywhere it will be sticky. So the mother will be worried, what have you done? And she'll take the child to the powder room. She will take some hand wash the child's hands, feet, everywhere where the halwa has fallen. But what has consumed, who has consumed that halwa? The boy's mouth. Does she use the hand wash to wash the tongue? See, the greasiness and the stickiness of the sweet touches every part of the body but the tongue. The tongue doesn't need to wash. Though it is the one that is tasting and consuming, the stickiness of the halwa doesn't stick to the tongue. Like how the impurities of our external body touches every part but the Atma. Vedanta says, Apahata papma tamadbhutam balakam ambuje kshanam. He's got eyes like the petals of a newly blossomed lotus. Chaturbhujam shankhagadar yudhar yudam. He has got 4 hands. Sir, is it possible humanly to have 4 hands? He had. Now the problem is, in Krishna Avataram, when he is born with 4 hands, the mother is worried. Devaki is worried. She has lost 6 children. 7th child is an abortion. She says, see, my brother is waiting to just kill you. Please keep these 2 extra hands in the hiding till my brother is there. She says, my brother will kill you. Till he is there, keep these 2 hands in the hiding. So immediately the Lord hides those 2 hands. The moment he is born, he listens to his mother. Matruvakya Paripalana. Rama listened to his father at the age of 24. Father said, go to the forest. He said, okay. Pitruvakya Paripalana Ram. We sing praises of Ram. Listening to the father at the age of 24 is great. Or listening to the mother the moment he was born is great. Matruvakya Paripalana. So he hid his hands. But mother was very, very careful. She said, till my brother exists. Which means after my brother is dead, bring your 2 hands back. Which is the corollary, right? So that is why after Kamsavadham, Krishna had 4 hands. Now people will doubt. No, sir. Nitish Bharadwaj had only 2. N.T. Ramarao garu, he had only 2. Em cheptunnaru varu? Chaganti garu cheppaledu. Samavedam Shanmukha Sharma garu cheppaledu. Em idi Dushyanth Sridhar em cheptunnaru sir varu? He had 4 hands. Commentator Vishnu Chitta says, after Kamsavadham, he had 4 hands. How do we know that? 2 incidents. One, in Bhagavad Gita, in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, he shows the cosmic form to Arjuna. Arjuna is flabbergasted, shocked. He's just the same Kichu. He's showing such a cosmic form. Krishna, I can't see this form that you're showcasing to me. Originally, you were with 4 hands. Come like that. Svenaiva rupena chaturbhujena. He says in Bhagavad Gita. Like how you were originally with 4 hands, come with that. So Krishna had 4 hands. That is why in Chennai, you have heard of Gopalapuram? There is one temple in Gopalapuram. There is one temple, Krishna temple in Gopalapuram. You will be reminded only of another place in Gopalapuram. So in Gopalapuram Krishna temple, Krishna has 4 hands. See, generally people who oppose Rama politically will never oppose Krishna. You've seen anybody talk against Krishna, they will ask, why did Rama do this? Why did he kill Chambuka? Why did he do this to pregnant Sita? Why did he do this? Why did he kill Vali? Why did he... Everything they will ask to Rama. Krishna, they will not ask any question, because whatever Krishna does is conducive to them. See, he married many times. See, we all follow Krishna. Krishna only did. Malai pirandanambiyai male shayyummanalane yela puigal uraipane inge poda kandire. See, that is why they keep on Bhagavad Gita in the court and say, whatever I say is what Krishna did. Tamadbhutam balakam ambuje kshanam chaturbhujam shankhagadar yudhar yudam Srivatsalakshmam. When Devaki, she switched on the torch in her mobile. She checked what is in this boy's chest. There was one mole. And that mole, she asked Vasudeva, Vasudev ji, ye kya hai? Pata nahi Devki. Shayad ye hoga Shrivats. Who is this Shrivats? No, Srivatsam. That is the mole of the Lord. And on the mole of the Lord, Mahalakshmi had registered that place. She sat on it. Srivatsalakshmam. Then Devaki, see, some lady is seated. See, the boy is born. And in his chest now itself there is a lady. Who is this lady? Vasudeva, our daughter-in-law. See, from the Nabhi, grandson. Chest, daughter-in-law. She became a mother, while she became a grandmother, while she became a mother-in-law. Srivatsalakshmam galashobhi kaustubam. Kaustubam is the resplendent gem of the Lord. Why is this gem placed next to Mahalakshmi, because Mahalakshmi has to be kept engaged. How to engage children? No, only if you keep a mirror next to her, she'll keep looking. Otherwise, she may ask something. So that is why the Lord kept one Srivatsam. Srivatsa Lakshmam Galasho Bikaustubam Pitambaram, beautiful yellow silk. Sandrapayodi Saubhagam Maharha Vaidurya Kirita Kundalatvisha Parishvakta Sahastra Kuntalam Uddhama Kanchi Gadakankana Virochamanam Vasudeva Maikshata. Vasudeva said, what kind of a drishyam are we seeing, Devaki? Devaki said, my dear child, please take those 32 teeth out. My brother will come. Krishna took every. Dvija Chandra Chandrika Maikshata Akhila Loka Pitustava Putrata Mahamaya Chamananya Manoratha Varada Vanchita Dana Dhrita Vrate. Now, Vasudeva couldn't take his eyes off the beauty of this Lord. In Ramavataram, when Rama stepped into Mithila, current day Nepal. So, as the women folk of Nepal saw Rama walk, those who had the glimpse of Rama's shoulders couldn't take their eyes off his shoulders and go to the next part. You will generally look at a person throughout only if each of those parts are not worth looking. தோளை பாருங்க, என்ன இருக்கு இதுல பெருசா, என்ன இருக்கு, சுமாரா தான் இருக்காரு. So when Rama's shoulders used to be looked at, the poet says, தோள் கண்டார் தோளே கண்டார், தொழுகமலம் தாள் கண்டார் தாளே கண்டார். So likewise, Krishna was to be looked by his father Vasudeva, who kept looking. That is when Devaki said, wait, we have to rescue this boy. My brother will kill. What do we do, Devaki? The previous night, the food was supplied to Devaki's cell, jail. There was one basket. So in this basket, she cleared all that. She cleared what was given the previous night. It was more kali. You know more kali? Okay. That was more kali was given. All that was taken. And then the baby had to be placed. See, listening, Shravanam is very important. We spoke about that in Sri Prahlada Charitram. So, in our history, we come across the mother to a great king called Shivaji Maharaj. He was one of the celebrated rulers of the Marathas. He was put into the jail. He had to escape from the jail. A fruit basket used to come to him. And he took away all the fruits and put himself into the basket. And when people asked, how did he get this idea? Because in his childhood, he has listened to Bhagavatam. Krishna had to escape in a fruit basket. The fruit basket was taken by Vasudeva. The moment he took the basket, see, he was already in fetters. He was tied. Charamatas charunadiva devaki patiromachyuta shrinkhalatas thirat Nikhila bandha nivartaka sannidhau vigalgajam nigalasya kimadbhutam. The moment he took the casket that was holding the little boy who looked like a newly blossomed lotus bud, he took the child, the fetters that were attached to his hands holding him to the hook on the wall unfettered itself and fell. Vedanta Deshika asks, why this? Is this something surprising? The boy who is born to relieve people of their karma shackles, won't he be able to do a mundane thing of relieving the father from the iron shackles? So the shackles came. Then Vasudeva had to go. He said, oh, the soldiers are there. How will I go? As he peeped, the soldiers were sleeping. Like how? As if they have heard an Upanyasam. So he went, the doors got opened. From now on, it is all VFX. Automatically, the doors opened. And as each of the jail doors opened, he went out. It was pouring. It was pouring. Vasudeva thought, if I take the newborn child like this in these torrential rainfall, the child will not even survive. But he had no option. He took the child and he placed the child on his head. And as he went, not one drop of water fell on him. How is this possible? He looked to the top. Bhagavatam tells that the 1,000-hooded Adisesha was the umbrella. Everything is... See, other Puranas, I can somehow bring a logical conclusion. This is all beyond logic. 1,000-hooded Adisesha is there. Vasudeva put his head down. See, you have got a cobra above your head. 1,000-hooded cobra. Vasudeva didn't even react. He put his head down and started walking. Now, Adisesha was amused. Not one drop fell on his hoods. He said, why is it not falling on me? And he lifted all the hoods of Adisesha, lifted. Shrutimayo iti pannagaha. Garuda was flying above him. So, Adisesha was serving the Lord. Garuda was serving the Lord's devotee. Adisesha was doing Bhagavat Kainkaryam. Garuda was doing Bhagavata Kainkaryam. As he went out, Bhuma Devi felt so much associated and fortunate. Below was Bhuma Devi, above was Vasudeva, on Vasudeva's head was Vasudeva Krishna, over Vasudeva's head was Adisesha, over Adisesha was Garuda. Garuda, Bhumi. Adisesha, Vasudeva. In the middle was Krishna. So this is Bhagavatam sandwich. Right? You have two slices and in the middle you keep the chutney. I don't know how many of you do that. It is called Purnam. Purnam. Anything which is made as a paste is Purnam. The Lord is Purnam. Purnamadav Purnam idam Purnat Purnamudachyate, says Vedam. How much ever you take a part out of the whole still remains a whole. Idam Purnat. So, as Vasudeva went into the flowing waters of Kalindi, Kalindi means Yamuna, she comes from the Parvatam called Kalinda. So as he went into, the water level started rising. It came till Vasudeva's mouth. Why? Because then only Yamuna waters can have the association of the Lord's foot which is overflowing from the basket. The moment she touched the Lord's foot, she thought, this is high time that I do something which is against simple physics. Water flows from higher level to lower level. Now you see what I do. She went back tracing to her source. The water split. All this is not explainable even to a person who is a so-called engineer. I can't explain. How did the water go back? We don't know. But the beauty is in Ramayanam, when Hanuman comes and destroys Lanka, Lanka is beyond damage. They have asked for $6 billion to IMF. In those days, I'm telling, because Hanuman caused so much of damage. That time, Kumbhakarna is summoned by Ravana. Ravana says, what should we do now? This wretched monkey has come and done all this. That time, Kumbhakarna says, you're asking this question, what should we do now? You should have asked this question before kidnapping Sita. Whether should I do or not? You have taken unilateral decisions and now you're asking. Now you cannot do anything, Ravana. If you give back Sita, probably we can all survive. But remember, if you go to a war, you will not be able to win against Rama like how the waters of Yamuna that have flown from the Kalinda Parvatam will not go back to the mountain. He said, it comes in Yuddha Kandam. He was unaware that his statement will be nullified by Krishna where the waters of Yamuna went back. Now as Vasudeva is taking Krishna, Vasudeva Krishna, the little poet, I began with Madurai. Any Madurai people here? So, Andal, the celebrated poetess in the Tamil language. See, often I tell, I'm sure Bay Area Astikas will also appreciate this and consider this request. To understand Sanatana Dharma better, to cherish and relish the nuances and the beauty that we have bequeathed, it is pertinent on us to attempt learning as many Bharatiya languages as possible. Of course, English is very important. We learn English. We don't have to take lessons in English because it is a language that has become a common link language even in our workspaces. So English is given on one side. On the other side, Bharatiya languages. Let's say you are a Bharatiya traditionally ancestrally belonging to the regions in the north of India, to the west of India, like say Gujarat, Maharashtra, north of India, try learning one or two South Indian languages. If you're a South Indian, learn one or two North Indian languages. When I say North Indian, you can also go to the west of India. You can even learn the east of India, Bengali. Two languages. Begin there. This arrogance that my language is the best, I won't learn in other languages, will not take us anywhere. There is so much beautiful in my own language. Learn that and learn the other things as well. Prove your ability. You talk so much, right? Prove your ability elsewhere. Learn. No language. You don't have to. See, nobody is going to ask you to give a discourse tomorrow. But learn the language in such a way that you can cherish the bhakti literature in it. What is the harm? So I generally tell, as much as I quote Sanskritam, Hindi, Braj Bhasha, Avadhi, Marathi, Kannada, my mother tongue is Tamil. I generally say, learn Tamil. You can attempt to learn the Alvar Pasurams. So beautiful. Andal tells, this little girl, 4-year-old girl tells, ஒருத்தி மகனாய் பிறந்து ஓரிரவில் ஒருத்தி மகனாய் ஒளிர்த்து வளர ஒருத்தி மகனாய் பிறந்து ஒருத்தி மகனாய். In simple Tamil, ஒருத்தி means one lady. So what is so great about this ஒருத்தி மகனாய்? Everybody is born to one lady, right? The beauty is, in the Tamil language, probably you can even extrapolate it to the other languages. The word one essentially doesn't mean the number one. It also means the unique one. See, let's take English. Give me one pen, which means I'm asking for the number one. I'm referring to the pen. So one pen means give me only one pen. I keeps talking about a person who has a very, very ravishing and a beyond feeling jealous resume. He or she has got a rigmarole of achievements which is worth mentioning and remembering. So if that person walks into the gallery, I would say, I was talking about the person. He is the one. There, that one doesn't mean that one person. It means he is that unique one whom I was talking about. Similarly, we go do our yearly medical check-up. I'm talking about my experiences in Bharata Desha. We can go to the doctor quite easily. So, when I do the health check-up, head to toe, Keshadipadam, Kesha, Pasha, Dhrita, Pinchika, they will give the list of tests, a slew of tests. After doing all the tests, imagine, he'll say, oh, the reports, yeah, they look fine. He'll then circle. That circling part is only troubling us. So he will circle around. He will circle something and say, see, this is something very unique. He'll tell, I see this one in 1,000 people. So we will feel very special. ஒருத்தி மகனாய் பிறந்து. So, in Sri Krishna Avataram, there were many other women who were living alongside Devaki. It was not only Devaki who was the only woman. Yet the Lord chose Devaki as his mother. So she is not the one, she is the unique one. ஒருத்தி மகனாய் பிறந்து. In Rama Avataram, the Lord, though he was born after many, many years in austerities and penances, took Kaushalya. Kaushalya was not, she used to outsource the guardianship of her child to some other lady. So she was not responsible for singing a lullaby. So Rama must have felt at a very later age, see, my mother didn't sing a lullaby for me. She did not take me. No, there were other women who were taking care of me. So he thought in Krishna Avataram, I should have a backup. One lady will give birth, because, Devaki was already, she had lost 6 children, 7th child was an abortion. So she may not have had the mental state to groom a child. He was always like Saukat Janaki of those days. So, How will I take care of myself? So the Lord made arrangements to have a backup mother. ஒருத்தி மகனாய் ஒளிர்த்து வளர ஒருத்தி மகனாய் பிறந்து ஓரிரவு. Andal tells that night was also unique. Why? Because there were only 4 people who were awake. The mother Devaki, father Vasudeva, the child Krishna, and his uncle Kamsa. Kamsa did not sleep. From the day he had heard the ethereal voice say that he will die at the hands of the 8th child, from that night he didn't sleep. He tried listening to discourses. He tried having kush paisam. You know, gasa gasa paisam? Gasa gasa paisam you check. So that also he tried. Nothing worked. Even Restil. I don't know what tablet you get here. That also he tried. Nothing worked. So, Andal tells, Tarikila nagi tantingu ninaida கருத்தை பிழைப்பித்து கஞ்சன் வயிற்றினில் நெருப்பென நின்ற நெடுமாலே நெருப்பென நின்ற நெடுமாலே. How was Krishna? Krishna was like a ball of fire within the stomach of Kamsa, which literally means that Kamsa had this fear factor. So to indicate fear or some problem with the stomach, when you do animation, you always put fire within the stomach. It literally doesn't mean there is fire. It's called Jataragni. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashrutaha. In Tamil, there is a saying, if you are jealous of someone, your fire eriyirudhu. There is fire. See, at times, literal translations from one language to the other may not make much sense. वो सुबह सुबह आ रहा था. Morning he got up. Why sir you're repeating morning? सुबह सुबह वो बन जाती है morning. That won't work. Yet, now why did Kamsa have that fire? To which the Vyakhyata tells, later Kamsa is going to cause so much of agony to the inhabitants of Gokulam by torturing them, sending one demon after the other to kill Krishna. So every time Krishna was to be harmed, each woman would feel so restless and shocking and frustrating. So this agony in them caused fire. So each woman, there were 5 lakh women folk in Gokulam, says Bhagavatam. So each woman had the fire within them. Let's call it fire 1, fire 2, fire 3, fire 4 till fire n. Now we have to put that in a series, right? We integrate and then we bring that UV rule we use. So now after this fire has to come, all the fire got accumulated. Summation you're doing. So lot of fire. Now this is big ball of fire you're accumulating from all the women's stomach. Now the Lord thought, so much of fire has come. Where will I have the place to keep? He saw Kamsa's stomach empty. கஞ்சன் வயிற்றினில் நெருப்பென நின்ற நெடுமாலே. Now Krishna had to come to this side. Now he was like the Neelaratnam, blue stone, sapphire. And he was born in the star of Rohini. Now, there is a belief when Chandra comes, when the constellation of Swati Nakshatram exists, the pearls are born in the ocean. This is the belief. So pearls are born in the ocean on the day of Swati Nakshatram. So Rohini, she was the favorite wife of Chandra. She was the page 3 wife. Every party he will take only Rohini. So Rohini felt very bad. See, you're calling me favorite wife, but nothing is born during the day I am there. So that is when Chandra said, don't worry. When I come in contact with Rohini's star, when the Lord is born, a blue sapphire will be born. So the Lord is indicated as a blue sapphire. Swati sapatni kilatarakanam mukta phalanam janani tiroshat sarohini neelamasuta ratnam kritaspatam gopavadhu kucheshu. So Krishna was born. He is indicated as Neelaratnam. That is why in every composition, our acharyas would indicate and tell the Lord he is akin, He is akin to the sapphire. Neela, Neela, Meni, Indra Neela Mani Sanni Papa Ghana Chandra Surya Nayana Prameya Vagindra, says Tyagaraja. Kalinguni talala paina gappina pushyaragamu yeleti Sri Venkatadri Indranilamu. So the Lord was to be born. Now, as soon as he reaches Gokulam around 2 a.m. in the morning, it is pouring. Now, Vasudeva did not know the path to Nandagopala's house. Here you put the GPS, right? So you have to put that address, this particular place, we have to go. How did he know? GPS is not telling, that lady will tell. In Bharatadesham, I'm telling. If you have that voice, she'll tell. Vaikuntaloka Manimantapa Margadayi. You have to have GPS even when the Atma is exiting from the material body. Then who will guide the Atma? You have to put that drop point. Vaikuntham cross street, Vaikuntham main road, Vaikuntham. So, here Vasudeva had to be guided. Who guided Vasudeva? That is when Vedanta Deshika says, there are village deities in India. Every village at the corner will have one deity. In each state, he is known by a different name. In the south of India, he is called Karupaswamy. He'll have a huge mustache. He is against Gillette. He'll have a mustache. He will have one sword in his hand. He'll be looking at you with big eyes. So there will be statues at the end of every street. So Vasudeva had to be guided to the house of Nandagopa. It so happened that these insentient objects called the statues of the village deities, which had swords in their hand, they suddenly were activated with life and they bent their swords. So the bent swords acted like arrows and he was guided to that house. So he reached that house. There he swapped the babies. Now we may say, how cruel is this man? Female infanticide. He has taken the girl child. बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ भाइयों और बहनों मोदी जी बोल रहे हैं. और ये क्या कर दिया इन्होंने? He has taken the girl child and he is coming out because he was commanded to do so. He is like Alexa. You tell Alexa, wake me up, Alexa will wake us up. Uttishta Govinda Uttishta Garudadvaja. Alexa, keep quiet. Alexa will listen. She's a Kim Karavani. She'll listen. Alexa. Alexa, Ana Punna, Adu Theriyadu. Pombladana, அது ஒன்றும் இல்லை. அது ஆணுமல்லன், அலியுமல்லன், அலா பெண்ணுமல்லன். So don't give a gender, sir. Then immediately people will say, fight. Let us not give it. It's like Paramatma. Now, he kept this boy of his, took the girl child. So as this girl child was taken, headed back to the Karagraham, immediately the girl child started crying. It gave an alarm to Kamsa. He knew that the 8th child is born. He came running. As he took that little child, that is the beauty. Here he says, as he took that little child, and was about to dash the child against the wall so as to kill, like how he has been killing every other child. While he was about to kill, the girl child escaped from his hands, like how the poet has to give an example, like how the devotee of Vishnu escapes from the pasham of Yama. And there she goes with all her hands. Amba, Shambhavi, Chandramouli, Abala, Aparna, Uma, Parvati, Kali, Haimavati, Shiva, Drinayani, Katyayani, Bhairavi, Savitri, Navayavana, Shubhakari, Samrajya Lakshmi Prada, Chidrupi, Paradevata, Bhagavati, Sriraja, Rajeshwari. She stood. Divya Sangambara Repatya Bharana Bhushita Dhanushula Shucharma Shushanka Chakra Gadadhara Ahamasesha Sura Sura Mohini Yavanika Madhukaita Bhamardinaha. She tells, see, the one who is to kill you is already born safely. Don't worry. She tells, start counting your days. Start putting dashes on the calendar. You will die very soon. She disappeared. Now, this Devi is treated as a sister to Krishna, treated because she protected. Now, this is found in only Krishna Avataram. But our Acharyas have extrapolated this to the other avatars. In Rama Avataram also, Tyagaraja says, when Rama had to come and marry Sita, Rama was very desperate. So he came walking very fast so that he can marry Sita soon. That is when his sister Parvati comes and says, don't walk so fast. They will think that you're desperate. So she came with a parrot in her hand. Ninnu judavachu bhagini karambu chiluka. Bhagini ante sister. Ninnu judavachu, the one who came to see you. Bhagini karambu chiluka. She comes with a parrot. So she tells, walk slowly. Hejjarikaga rara he Ramachandra. Walk slowly. So now, of course, we always extrapolate. Now she has become the sister, sister's sons become the nephew, nephew's wives, Valli and Devasena. We Indians have our own way of creating our own family. But here it doesn't mean blood group. He is O positive, she is O positive. It has nothing to do with bodily relation. It is an emotional relationship. This emotional relationship has been adhered to and appreciated by the Acharyas. Varaguru Guha Janani Madashamani Mahishasuramardini Mandagamani Mangala Vara Pradayini Sarasi Janabha Sodari Shankari Pahi Mam Sarasi Janabha Sodari Bimbadari Chit Prati Bimbadari Bindunadava Shankari Shankari Ambuja Ramana Sodari Adari Atirati Ambari Kadambari Neelambari Amba Neelayada Akshi. She is a sister. Now, the next morning, Yashoda got up. She had delivered the child the previous night. Next morning, she got up. She thought, oh, what is this? The girl child was different. How did it turn into a boy? Yan Saridi. Then she checked everything. The CCTV camera, when Vasudeva had come, did not work. So what has happened? Then she was worried. All clothes are pink. Jewelry is for the girl. What should I do now? Yen ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಸರ್ ಇವಾಗ? Oh. Then she thought, see, till a certain age, we can adjust to the same jewelry. We'll put it for Krishna. That is why Krishna in any kshetram will sport the jewelry of a woman. If you go to a kshetram called Mannargudi, he's called Raja Gopala. He'll sport bullak. That, what is it called in English? There should be a name. Nose ring. Nose ring can come this side. Tappa cholital. Wrong answer, stand up on the bench. Another? Septum. Correct. That's the name. Septum. That septum with a pearl hanging below that. So, when Krishna used to smile, Ananta Kavi in Bharata Champu says, how did it look? When he smiled, there will be a pearl at the end of the septum, right? How will it look? Like the oyster that opens and produces a pearl. So he used to smile that way. Now, how is Krishna's beauty? See, Rama is extremely handsome. Undoubtedly, Lavanya Rama Lara Judare Ati Lavanya. During the marriage between Rama and Sita, see, there is a paddhati amongst the Astikas of the Telugu, Kannada and Marathi speaking communities to put a Yavanika, a screen in the marriage between the boy and the girl. So there will be mantras that will be read on either side. And then the screen will be taken where the boy and the girl will either be surprised or shocked, whichever. Ithoda enna pandrathu? So that screen will be taken. That is why Sita tells Rama, Raghava, between us, I know you very well. I've seen you from the gazebo. I've seen you. So this Yavanika is not required. Marugu yelaravo Raghava. Marugu yelara. Marugu yelara. In Sandhi, when you do the Vichedam, it is Marugu yelara. Marugelaravo Raghava. Marugela chara. Chara rupa. Marugela chara. Chara rupa marugela chara. Sir, how can we make this into a fusion song? For that, before singing, I should have long hair. It should be scattered. Amba, Shambhavi, Chandramauli, Rabala, Parna, Uma, Parvati. And then I should stand, hold the mic, I should bend it. Marugu yelara vora. If I sit like this with a dhoti, I am not fusion. Now, as like the marriage here we have Rama was extremely handsome. Lavanya Ramara. So that is why in those days there was a saying, Purusheshu cha Raghavaha. Handsome amongst men, complete man, Raymond is Rama. Who is the most beautiful among women? Lalita. Parvati is very beautiful. Narishu Lalita Devi. Purusheshu cha Raghavaha. Amongst men, it is Rama. Amongst women, she is that Miss Universe. He is Mr. World. Both their beauties came together. Tayoho sammelanam Krishne sarupam kena varnyate. When both those beauties have naturally, organically got together and constructed a new form of beauty, can that beauty ever be described? Sarupam kena varnyate. That beauty is seen in Krishna. So it is a beauty which has never been described as well or this well by any other acharyas. Now, so Yashoda says, okay, fine. She immediately opens her mobile. She has got one WhatsApp group. She says, delivered. The message is not. She says, delivered. That is why, I don't know who came up with WhatsApp. It was a great Bhagavatottama. Initially, when messages used to get delivered, what color it used to turn into? Blue. Right? Neelatoya tamadhyastha vidyullekeva bhaswara. Or what color will it be? Grey. Cloud. Okay? So they are all Krishna devotees. Now she said, delivered. Immediately all others. Congratulations. Congratulations. Flower, bouquet, everything they gave. Now they all came running towards the house of Nandagopa. Here is where Shuka Brahmam from Uttar Pradesh feels, from now on I will outsource it to Periyalvar of Madurai. Madurai, Uttar Pradesh, Sangamam. வண்ணமாடங்கள் சூழ் திருக்கோட்டியூர் கண்ணன் கேசவன் நம்பி பிறந்தினில் எண்ணெய் சுண்ணம் எதிரெதிர் தூவிட கண்ணன் முற்றம் கலந்தலராயிற்றே. கண்ணன் முற்றம் கலந்து அலராயிற்றே. What words! 1000, even conservatively, if we go by the historian's account, 1450 years before, 6th century, when one religion of the West was not even born. That time, Periyalvar tells in Madurai how people relished and cherished Krishna's birth. So they had long rods filled with water, oil and different colors. They would spray it on each other. You know, it is called by a name in Bombay, Pichkari. All போட்டுறாதீங்க அதுக்கு பிச்சைக்காரின்னு. ஓடுவார் விழுவார் உகந்தாளிப்பார். People used to come running upon listening and hearing and reading the news that she has delivered a baby finally. ஓடுவார், they came running. விழுவார், because of the oil. Mandali par. Generally, when you fall, you'll have to lament, right? You'll have a word. Oh! From that day, they uttered the name Govinda. Their love for Krishna was unseen for a reason, because this is matchless. The other meaning is, even without seeing him, the love had developed. That is why Rukmini tells, on day 7, Sunday, at about 11:05, she will tell, Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundara shrinvatante. Shrutva gunan. Krishna, I have fallen in love with you. I have not even seen you. Your profile photo is locked. I have not even seen you, but I have fallen in love with you. Why? Krishna asked why. Because you are Dhanush. You don't know Dhanush? Patta pudikadu, pakka pudikadu. ஓடுவார் விழுவார் புகந்தாலிப்பார் நாடுவார் நம்பிரான் எங்குத்தான் என்பார் பாடுவார்களும் பல்பறை கொட்ட நின்று ஆடுவார்களும் ஆயிற்றாய் பாடியே பேணிச் சீருடை பிள்ளை பிறந்தினில் காணத்தாம் புகுவார் புக்கு ஓதுவார் காணொப்பார் இவன் ஓடில்லை காண் திருவோணத்தான் உலகாளும் என்பார்களே. Krishna is celebrated by Periyalvar. Krishna Avataram is not restricted to one geography. The way our acharyas have celebrated. Now, a few days after delivering, Yashoda meets her neighbor Pankajam. Pankajam is asking Yashoda, what is this Yashod? எல்லாத்துலயும் கட் பண்ணிட வேண்டியதுதான் கடைசியில. Yashod, after delivery we all put on weight. How are you able to manage this size 0? கிடக்கில் தொட்டில் கிழிய உதைத்திடும். Yashoda tells, if I put him to the cradle, he kicks and he gets out of it. I have to hold him again. எடுத்துக்கொள்ளில் மருங்கே இருத்திடும். If I want to keep him here, he slides down. உடுக்கி புல்கில் புதரத்து பாய்ந்திடும். If I keep him on my chest, he kicks my stomach. மிடுக்கிலாமையால் நான் மெலிந்தேன் நங்காய். Just by going after him and taming him, I have become thin. மிடுக்கிலாமையால் நான் மெலிந்தேன் நங்காய். They ask, see, he's always having milk. Do you clean his tongue? Because tongue for babies, after they consume a lot of milk, will turn white. It's not throat infection. White. So Yashoda tells, see, I did that to him. I wanted to clean his tongue. What did you use? I used a tongue cleaner. What tongue cleaner? See, Yashoda tells, every day I use the turmeric, the natural turmeric, not the powder, turmeric itself, to scrub my body. Over a period of time, when you keep using the same turmeric, it loses its flesh. And what remains is the hard remains of the turmeric. I used that to clean his tongue. Is it so? How was the experience? கையும் காலும் நிமிர்ந்த கடார நீர் பையாட்டி பஞ்சிரு மஞ்சளால் ஐயனா வழித்தாளுக்கு open your mouth. She would do. The boy would do. அங்காந்திட்ட. She cleaned the tongue with that used turmeric and checked there is something within the mouth. Vayyam yezhum kandal pillai vayule. Just as a happenstance, she checked what is within. Vayyam yezhum kandal pillai vayule. She was shown on NASA screen. While all this was happening, she had to put her child to sleep. Yashoda was not great at singing. So she outsourced. She had one tender system. People have to bid. She will check which is the best bid and she gave. She had 3 vendors, because if you give it only to one, it is crony. So she distributed. One, she gave to one person in the south of India. Those days, this Hindi Teriyadu Poda was not there. She gave it to Narayana Tirtha. He sang. He sent one recording. She downloaded that MP4 file. Sadhu Janadhara Sarvabhauma Madhava Mamavadeva Krishna Madhava Mamavadeva Krishna Yadava Krishna Yadukula Krishna. Immediately Narayana Tirtha was asked by Yashoda, where do I get a good cradle? Where do I get a good cradle? Did you check Amazon? He asked. No, Dushyanth will do that. He's going to Seattle between April 29th and May 5th. In Seattle, he's going to tell Saptaham. And here, the devotees of Bay Area will tell their friends to come to that Saptaham. He said, Amazon, there was no availability. Jeffrey, yeah? No cradle. So cradle was not in stock. Where is cradle? There was only one cradle available. It was available in a city called Srivilliputturu. So Yashoda checked, please, I want to see some photos of that cradle. Some photos were previewed and showed. Manikam katti, Vairamidai katti, Ani punna Sheida Vanna Chirudottil, Peni Bunakku Biraman Viduttandan, Mani Kuralane Talelo, Vayammalandane Talelo, Udayar Kanamaniyod, Unmadulampu, Idaviravi Kota Yelteligi Vidayer Kapali, Ishan Vidutandan, Udayai Halel Talelo. Vayammalandane talelo. Then again it was outsourced to Venkata Subbayar. Maninu Puradhari. It was sent to Iriyaman Thambi. O mana tingal kidavo nalla Komala Tamara Puvil Niranya Madhubo Paripurnendu Tanne Nilavo Buttam Pavila Kodiyo Seru Tattagal Kunjum Muriyo Chanjadi Adum Mayelo Mrudu Panjamam Padum Kuilo. It was outsourced in all languages. Now, it has to come back to Tamil. Kayilendi Sirati Paluti Talata Yenatavam Shedanai. So all this happened, now begins action. Now I told you about the WhatsApp group of Yashoda. Now Kans had one WhatsApp group, V7. Who are the people? Baka Baki. Who is Baka? Bakasura. Who is Baki? Putana. Very good. Putana is a sister of Baka. You didn't know that? Baka, Baki, Agha, Pralamba. These were the rowdies. V7. Kadachidantarhita Putanatma Kamsaf Prayukta Kilakapi Maya Nidra Paradhina Jane Nishithe Vrajam Yashoda Krutira Vivesha. Putana came. Here we have descriptions of how she came like a wet mother that would always feed the newborn babies with their milk. She came with a beautiful lotus in her hand, and as she walked with that sway, the gait of a swan, people were amazed and mesmerized with the gait of Putana. Then Putana, she managed to hear the cry of a baby. It sounded as if the baby was less than a year. So she went and knocked at the house of Nandagopa. Outside, see, Nandagopa was a entrepreneur, startup. His partner was his wife Yashoda. So both of them had set up Nandagopala Dairy Products, A2 milk. Now, Yashoda, she had some work in the backyard, so she opened the door and she said, "What brought you here?" This Putana said, I want to feed if there is a newborn child. As a mother, I want to feed. She said, "Okay, fine, I have one boy who's eternally hungry. You take him, you feed him." So she was made to sit in that living room. And she sat on a sofa. And she sat and she kept the child and she said, "Ab jaiye." So Yashoda, "Ha, dhanyavad." And she went behind. Now, Putana, she did not know it was Paramatma. She wanted to kill every newborn child. That was her specialization. Kadachit sa Putana balaghatini. Her specialization was to kill the newborn children. So she kept this child. She had smeared her bosom with a virulent poison, something like the hemlock of the Socrates times. And then she kept, and as she placed herself conducive enough for the boy to suckle, he took the poison which was smeared over her bosom. He consumed it. He was still hungry. He continued sucking. Milk came now. Sir, this is what Bhagavatam tells, but there is a medical problem here. Without she having delivered a kid, how could she lactate? There is a unique condition, I'm sure the doctors here will agree. Galactoria is a condition where with certain stimulation, even without pregnancy and delivery, the woman can lactate and secrete milk. So she had galactoria. Now, as she saw the child and she attained momentary motherhood and her glands secreted milk, he consumed that milk. He continued sucking it, and in the due process, the Jivatma also came along. He didn't kill, by mistake it came. Stanyena Krishnaha Sahaputanayaha Pranan Papau Lupta Punarbhavayaha. She is giving a smile. Initially, she gave a smile. Now, this boy is giving her a smile in return. Let's see who wins. Yadadbhutam bhavayatam jananam stanandhayatvam na punarbhabhuva. What a verse Vedanta Deshika gives. See, there's a Nyayam called Tat Kratu Nyayam. Tat Kratu Nyayam states in Sanatana Dharma, what you think of in the last minute when the Jivatma is departing from the body, you shall become that. That is Tat Kratu Nyayam. So as per this Nyayam, imagine one person is narrating. Putana came, she wanted to kill Krishna, she kept Krishna on her lap, and as Krishna was consuming milk from Putana, the speaker is telling, that person dies. Who is listening? So somebody dies. So as per Tatkratu Nyayam, if you're listening to a boy drinking milk from Putana and you die, as per the Nyayam, you should be drinking mother from somebody else. That is the rule. But for this incident alone, there is an exception. If you listen to Krishna drinking milk from Putana, the Tatkratu Nyayam will not work. You don't have to drink milk from anybody else, which means you won't have the next Janmam, na Punarbhabhuva. Now, this Jivatma coming out of her body, exiting her body is not a simple process. When the Jivatma exits the body, it is called Tristuna Kshobanam in Sanskrit. I have told this in many places. People don't come to my lecture after listening to this. I'll give you that process. How the Jivatma exits. Natural process. Now don't tell me if a person dies in a forest fire or earthquake, what will happen. That is all unnatural death. Naturally, the person is going to die. Imagine that person has been very repenting that he has been paying insurance every year, premium. And he wants to utilize at least 1 year. He goes to the hospital. He's kept on that bed. That, hospital beds, they can be fixed. It can rise to a certain level. Incidentally, if you fall from that bed, you'll die with that high. So imagine the person is on that bed. The Jivatma has to exit. Shastram tells in a normal, natural way how the Jivatma will exit. First of all, the Pancha Jnanendriyam, first Pancha Karmendriyam will fail. Legs, hands cannot work that well. Those of you who are medical practitioners will know. In a certain condition called Parkinson's, there are two conditions, bradykinesia and akinesia that comes. The body-mind coordination will not be there. Karmendriyam will start failing. Next, Jnanendriyam will start failing. If you go and tell, Atimbir, he won't reply because eyes will not communicate well. So these senses will start failing. Karmendriyam will start failing. Then Manam, Chandrama Manaso Jataha, that mind is here, but still what we do is we distribute mind into two aspects. One, the logical portion, the second, the emotional portion. So we keep the Manas here. But Manas is actually here, brain only, the cerebellum only takes care of that. But we still keep the mind here. Now that Manas will start dysfunctioning. Then slowly it will give a signal to the Jivatma, get ready. Now your karma for this shariram is over. All the external objects have started dysfunctioning. Get ready, you have to exit. Jivatma can't exit on its own. When I say can't exit, when it comes out, it needs the aid of another shariram called Sukshma Shariram. Now when the Jivatma is told, there is a Hridaya Kamalam, says Shastram, there is an inverted lotus, below it is Jivatma, from the Sushumna Nadi it has to escape. But it needs an opening. That is why Tirumangai Alvar says this is Navadvara Pattinam. You have got ears, eyes, nose, mouth, from where we excrete our urine and feces, all those are Navadvaram. So the Jivatma has to exit. Many of them, if you have noticed your elders pass away, they will either pass urine, feces, water may come up till here, and then you'll hear a churning sound. So all these are indications. Now, in the back, Kundalini does a detail here. There are three rods called Tristhunam. They will start churning the Jivatma out. It is called Tristhuna Kshobanam. Very painful process. Then the Jivatma has to come out. How much ever we have listened to Vedanta, that last minute will have an excruciating pain. But now this pain is distributed in various levels. Slowly the Panchajnanendriyams will fail, Karmendriyam will fail. One by one, on a scale of 10, the pain will increase from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But for Putana, it was all of a sudden the Jivatma had to come out. So that pain will directly hit 9 on 10 or 10 on 10. It won't go through 1, 2, 3. So imagine sudden pain. How will that pain look? That pain is akin to the excruciating pain that a Jivatma faces on the 7th night of the 7th month in the 70th year. That night is called Bhaimarathi in Sanskritam. To overcome this fear of Bhaimarathi, a certain ritual called Bhima Ratha Shanti is performed. So Vedanta Deshika says she had the pain of Bhaimarathi. Gopascha sambhuya guhopamakshim swaghosha nirhadida vishwaghosha gata sumaikshanta nishacharim tam bhima kriti Bhaimarathi mivanya. So Putana died. Oh, she shouted and she died. She had a huge body covering that street, gully. In north we call it gully. Thin streets they will be. So Nandagopa had gone out somewhere to sign a deal with a vendor. He came. He saw a huge body lying. He jumped over that body and went to his house and he said, Yashoda, where is our child? She checked, where is the child? One's dead body is lying across our house. Then they checked over that body, one small blue mustard was going left and right. So immediately they put a ladder on her body. Nandagopala went to the top, fetched the child. Now how to dispose this body? That was a big question. So how to dispose this body? So they said, bring all the instruments, let's cut her. When they cut her, what they should have smelt is an obnoxious odor of blood and flesh. But they smelt Gokul Santal. Gokul Santal, cuticura, what is the smell? Yardley. Where in the bread, fog. What smell your children will know? Huh? Some smell, very good smell they smelled. How did they smell that good smell? To which Shastram tells, when the Lord touched her, Pavitranam Pavitramyo Mangalanam Scha Mangalam, she turned into incense sticks. Now she was disposed. Next day, Krishna was kept next to a broken cart. It was a belief, a superstition in the village folk that if you keep the child next to a broom, a bullock cart, nobody will harm the child. But the problem here was the cart itself. So the cart came to destroy Krishna. Those children, the other children of slightly better age, they were playing a game called Lagori. You know Lagori? Stones are kept one over the other. You have to hit the ball. They were playing Lagori. So they suddenly saw the cart coming with full sheer force to destroy that child. Krishna, in Tamil, there is a saying, if the child cries, wheel, wheel, nadardu. Wheel, wheel, nadardu. Krishna was literally saying, wheel, wheel. And he was crying. And the tip of that cart touched the tender exterior epithelial cell of Krishna's lotus-like foot, and it went high. Krishna was like our movie hero. You have seen our movie heroes? 50 villains will come. The hero will give, all 50 will fall. I tried this in my house. Nothing. Hero, in our movie hero, he will fight with 50 people. Not one drop of sweat will come. He will be so handsome. Avikaraya, Shuddhaya, Nityaya, Paramatmane, Sadaika Rupa, Rupaya. He will be like Paramatma. And as he walks, the transformer will burst from behind. Sparks will come. And there will be whistle. Now Krishna touched. Now that cart went to the top, gravitational pull, it fell. But half of the parts of the cart were missing. Bhattadri asked, where were the other parts? Grava prapata paripishta garishta deha brashtansu dushtadhanujopari drishtahasam. Those parts of the chariot, of that cart, which had managed to have association of Krishna's foot, they attained moksha. So they didn't fall on earth. So if at all you are going to Vaikuntham and you are entering, on the right hand side there will be one showcase. There it will be written Shakat. Remember this Upanyasam there. When you go to Vaikuntham, please remember this day. In the night, remember. Agnanamambujakarena bhavantametya gopada dhurgirivaradiva nila ratnam. So this is Shakatasura Bhanjanam. Then Krishna has to be taught how to clap. Mother says, put your hands together, clap like this. He did. Then he has to be taught how to utter the word Amma. The one who's going to talk Bhagavad Gita later, whose breath in and out is regarded as the sound waves in the Vedas, is now taught by Yashoda how to walk. He is going to come as Trivikrama. He is being taught, put that foot forward, this one, slowly, you put this foot. Padaistribhik kranti jagatrayam tam sambhavaya balita balabhavam karena samgrihya karambujagriyam sancharayamasa shanair Yashoda, says Vedanta Deshika. Trivikrama, is being taught how to walk by this lady who doesn't know even one rule of orthodoxy. He is taught, keep this foot, keep that foot. Go like this, go like that. In Tamil there is a saying, Tirunelvelike, Tirupadike. He is taught how to walk. Then came one day, important day. She said, I have to put Shankha Chakra Lanchanam on the floor. She took Krishna, dipped him in that rice flour paste and asked him to walk. As he walked, Shankha Chakra Lanchanam was found. Now with all this, he calls him, come, utter the word Amma. Irelu bhuvanangal padaithavanai kayilendi shirati paluti talata ennathavam seidane Yashoda engum neerai parabrahmam Amma venralaka ennathavam seidane. Now Krishna has taught all this. Slowly he grows. Every day of Krishna Avataram turns into 100 shlokas in Bhagavata. His minutes, like minutes of the meeting, Shuka Brahmam gives. In Rama Avataram, there is no such description. Kausalya was pregnant. Tatascha dvadashe masai chaitre navami ketito. Rama was delivered. Vasishta came and said, name the child Rama. That verse, next verse, Rama was 12 years. Slowly in the, the yesterday's movies, they'll put that chakram. Main kaal hoon. And slowly that will become 12. Why, sir, you are not talking about Rama's childhood? There is nothing worth mentioning. Because Rama was obedient. When you have obedient children, you won't have memories to cherish. Only when the child is mischievous, the teacher will remember. You go to your school batch and ask if you are a very disciplined child, surely your teacher will not remember. Madam, I'm Suresh's batch. Suresh oda batch. Are you Suresh? So now, here Krishna, over one Leela after the other, have crossed close to 2000 shlokas now. Now, Krishna was one day being fed with the milk of his mother. He was about 3-4. Now, the mother heard the sound of the milk cooker. Do you have milk cooker here? In their house they have. It called 3 times. Achyuta yanamaha, Ananta yanamaha. It does achamanam. Govinda yanamaha, come switch me off. So the moment she heard, she left Krishna and went inside. She had to go and put off that fire. Krishna has this bad habit. If you surrender to me alone. Mom, ekam sharanam braja. You give concentration to somebody else, I will leave you. That is a bad habit in him. What to do? So he said, when I am here, is that milk cooker more important? Huh? He got angry. He stood atop a mortar. There was a huge pot filled with the butter collected, accumulated over days with some buttermilk. He took a stone and broke open the pot. All the butter fell on him. There was buttermilk around. The Vyakhyata Nampillai writes 1000 years back. Kshirarnavattil kidandavan morarnavattil irikiran. The one who reclines on the ocean of milk is now over buttermilk. So as Yashoda comes, she comes and she takes one rope along with her and she starts chasing him. Krishna starts running, Yashoda starts chasing him. Krishna runs to his full strength, she too runs. But then she's panting for breath. She gave very late child. So she could not run behind this boy. Krishna turned. He thought, if I let my mother run even further, I may have to call the priest. So he stopped. Hartum kumbhe vinihita karaha swaduhayanga veenam. He had butter. Drishtva dama grahana chatulam mataram jatarosham. She got angry. Prayat ishat prachalita pado napagachan natishtan. He stood. He froze. I don't know, here children, they play freeze game. You've heard of that freeze game? They have to, you that? Freeze. You say that, right? Freeze. And then she froze with 1 foot down, 1 foot up with a ball. Napagachannatishtan. Now he stood. Now she too stood. Maybe he is not the one who broke the pot. She was doubtful. Now Krishna turned towards her. Do you think I would have broken the pot? I don't know if the school days, at least I was a talkative student. So the teacher will break that chalk. She'll say, Dushyanth. Ma'am? Me? Meelayan Vishwagopta. So these are all tactics of Krishna. When Krishna has asked a question, he'll repeat the question. Say, I don't know, in the maths classes, teacher will ask, 17 into 18. Ma'am, you said 17 into? I will calculate by then. Meelayan Vishwagopta, the one who has duped the entire world with his Atilavanya Cheshtitam. How much efforts will it take to dupe this poor lady Yashoda? Meelayan Vishwagopta. Then she said, don't cheat me, come here. She dragged Krishna to the front yard. There were many things stored in the front yard. It's like your garage. Invariably, any house, I've come 6 times to the US. I would have been in at least 40, 45 houses. I have never seen how the main door looks. Ungal puzhakkadai thottattu vaviyul. I'll be taken through the garage. What all they have found as a waste will be in that garage. Even I will be there. I would ask that lady, Mummy, idenne idella vendadada. Amama vendadada. Avarenge? She will keep him and this object very close. So in the front yard, Yashoda used to keep such useless products. Amongst that was a mortar. That mortar, you know mortar? What is mortar? What? Dance. What mash? Well, your mother does, or you've seen it on TV? Amma samaikkarde illa sir. So the mortar is broad at the top. It tapers in the middle. You're reminded of flight 172? Then it will extend further down. It will again become broad at the bottom. It is dark. Broad at the top, thin in the middle, broad at the bottom. It is dark. While I was telling this in one place, the child very interestingly looked at his grandfather. He is also like the mortar. Dark, broad at the top, thin in the middle. Broad. So Yashoda wanted to teach a lesson to her son. She wanted to tie Krishna to the mortar. Where will she get the rope from? See, they were business people, so they used to get lot of DHL, Blue Dot couriers. So there used to be a tag, a rope over the couriers. So her husband religiously stored all of them. Some people will never throw anything out of their house. First, they will have to eliminate a few things, create one small space for us, and we have to go and sit there. And invariably, to cover such objects or possessions that you don't want to showcase to your guests, you invariably use the dhoti in the house. Mama oda veshti. Isha vasyamidam sarvam. Mama's veshti is multi-purpose. It is used even for making fryams, vadam. So Mama's association with that vadam is there. Now, she had to tie. So those ropes were brought together and knots were strung between those ropes. It is called Kanninun Siruthambu. And then this rope was, come here. She called Krishna and she tried. She couldn't. What size are you? What is your hip size? 34, 36. What is it? Krishna said, don't worry, I will tie it. Kattunna panniya perumayan. He was tied to the mortar. For a minute, Yashoda was startled. She didn't know which was the mortar and which was Krishna. Both are dark, both are broad at the top, thin in the middle, broad in the bottom. She did not know which is mortar and which is Krishna. Then she found out one cried, the other didn't. Biramanum ildiranum manadil poramai kolla uralil katti vaipoti kenja vaitai taye ennathavam seidanai. What bhagyam, madhura bhagyam, ananya bhogyamide. She is not a Valmiki or a Vyasa. She does not even know the spelling of Vedam. She does not even know how many Vedas exist. She doesn't even know. You have to come for 20 seconds. You have to wash your hands with the hand wash, dry them well, put a mask. She didn't know any of this. She didn't know what is orthodoxy. See, I grew up largely in the south. So, I used to use one hand. When I went to Pilani in the hostel, then I realized some of my friends were bhaktas of Nrsimha. When they eat chapati, sata patala bhishane sarabhasa attaha sodbhate, Spurat kridhi parisputat bhrukutikepi vaktre krite. Vitta kala kuda use பண்ணுவா. So Yashoda did not know what is the difference between left hand, right hand. That way she was very impartial, no disparity. So she tied Krishna. Alongside that she said, Yadi shaknoshi gachatvam ati chanchala cheshtita sachakara kutumbini. You move out of this place, I will give you. That is when Shukabrahmam writes, see, that man who's unreachable through the benedictions of Vedas is now controlled by a lady who doesn't even understand the difference of hygiene between the left and the right hand. Now, this Krishna, he had butter. Butter has two levels, Hayyangavinam and Navanitam. Navanitam is generally used for butter, but like oxygen has nascent oxygen. You know, for nascent oxygen, you put within parenthesis. Correct? Correct? So, new butter, fresh butter is called Hayyangavinam. So, Krishna loved Hayyangavinam. So, while he used to be crawling, now he walks. Before, earlier when he used to crawl, he used to be given the butter ball. But how was he like butter ball? So, he had to crawl. Too much of body weight. Bulky boy. He had butter ball. And that butter ball was not reachable to his mouth. So looking at the butter ball at a distance which is quite reachable yet not reachable, there was drooling. What is a beautiful word for drooling? Jollu. There is no equivalent to jollu. Jollu is non-translatable. But let's call it drooling to respect Elizabeth and Victoria. So this drooling was happening. On the other side, the butter ball has reached, yet I'm not able to consume. So tears used to roll down his cheeks. And as he used to crawl, there used to be a rhythmic sound from the jingles that were attached to his girdle. Kati ghatita mekhala khachita mani ghantika. Kati ghatita mekhala khachita mani ghantika. Patala ninadena vibhrajamanam. Kutila pada ghatita samkula Shinjite natam Chatula natana Samujvala vilasam bhavayami Gopala balam manasevitam Tatpadam chintayeyam. This Krishna is going to dance on a Kaliya, lift the mountain, play the flute, do Rasa Krida, Kamsavadham, and tomorrow is his tutelage. Till 10 years, no school. Every child will be praying, I should be like Krishna. No school. Crash course, 64 days he learned 64 arts. All of that tomorrow. Kalyana Rupaya Kalau Jananam Kalyana Dhatre Karuna Sudhapte Vatalayadhisha Namo Namaste Narayana Narayana Narayana